they only really get up at around about 8 or so. I didn't do it. You and I have had this conversation before. I'm sure that you did do it. I don't know what it was, but you might have done it. I didn't do it. The simplicide age, it's a difficult one. The cubs are usually safe at around about 2 years old, because then the chances are the females are going to start coming into estrus anyway. But they are still vulnerable, and it depends on the dynamics of the takeover itself. Sometimes young cubs are killed, not young cubs, sometimes sub-adults are killed in that whole process when things get a bit out of hand, especially young males. It becomes very dangerous for them in certain circumstances. Obviously, the animals don't read the textbooks, and there's no hard and fast rules, but around about 2 is when they start to be safe. Unfortunately, male lions, when they come in, when they do take over, they tend to be pumped full of aggression, testosterone, they're hyped up, they're full of adrenaline. And it's not just the cubs that fall victim, sometimes the lionesses do as well, which is counterintuitive from a human perspective, because they need the females to have cubs. But it's just part and parcel of the dangers of a takeover. Lionesses do not like scrapping males. Even males that are fighting in amongst a coalition that the lionesses are familiar with. If they're having a fight, the lionesses either gang up against them, or if they can, they try and get away. And nothing sends a lioness scurrying faster than the sound of male lions having a proper serious fight. It's always something quite tragic to witness, because there's absolutely nothing. If those males catch the lioness with their young cubs, there's absolutely nothing they can do to save them. They try valiantly at times, but there's just nothing. They're not strong enough to protect them. Rishi, no, okay. Let me think this through properly. So Rishi's asking about the lifespan of the lions in the Mara versus South Africa. And I would say that on average, no. The lifespans are much the same, but for one or two interesting aspects of that. One is that the lions in the Mara are treated for natural injuries. It's a different policy, and it's a different approach to that applied in South Africa. So in South Africa, a natural injury like the one that Tino has acquired would not be treated by a vet. If it's caused by a human, absolutely, but if it's naturally obtained, the policy is to let nature take its course. Here in the Mara, the lions are treated for natural injuries, which is of course why our friend Scarface is still alive. He was treated for a very bad wound on his face, very bad infection. So lots of the animals, lots of the lions here do get medical attention if their injury is noticed. So that would probably, I would say, no. You know what, I actually don't think it will affect the average that much. Because remember, a lot of the deaths that occur, if you're talking pure statistics, a lot of the deaths that occur are young cubs and young males. And that plays out regardless. I'm not sure that the average would be impacted. I don't think that the availability of food will make too much of a difference, because remember, the wildebeest are only here for a shortish period of time, less than half a year. So I don't think that's going to make a huge difference to their life expectancy. Isn't that beautiful? With a shepherd's tree, one of their favorite shepherd's tree actually, and one of the only trees I've seen them in. I've seen the cubs climb that tree. I was promised lions in trees all over the Mara. It hasn't quite worked out that way. For now, our lions are enjoying a sleep in the sun. Let's go across to Ali, whose leopard is on the move.
Oh, he is on the move, and unfortunately he crossed the boundary, so we're trying to get a bit of a view of him. But I think unfortunately we're not going to be able to get one from here. Thank you for going forward. I'm not too sure. The guys say that I can see it from in the distance. There we go. There it is. So it's a male leopard, and I can't really tell from the distance who it is. So if you guys manage to get any screenshots and perhaps compare spots, you'll be able to let us know. Because the guys are calling it as quarantine, which would be a bit of a strange spot for him to be in. Ooh, Now he's gone behind. He just crossed the boundary. Come on, boy. Just pop out somewhere where we can see you. Lou says it looked like Mvula. Census thinks it's Tingana. So we're all just shouting names out in the wind. I wonder which one it is. The only thing that we seem to agree upon is that it's a male leopard. And now I wonder where he's gone off to. Megan, she says it's Shangila. Definitely not. Definitely not too big. So Megan, we won't trust you for leopard IDs anymore. Let's try to... he's static now. Copy. No worries, Mike. I'm gonna see if maybe I can get a view from the cut line. Alright, apparently he's gone static somewhere in there. Well, I cannot see him. Sneaky leopard. Alright, seems like Brent has managed to find the jackpot of animals, and I think unfortunately we won't be able to have a look at our friend from here because I have no idea where he's gone off to. And it's a bit of a complicated one. But at least we managed to have a bit of a glimpse up some spots for the day, which is quite amazing and I'm very happy about it. But I think maybe we'll stick to our plan and go all the way to Chitwa. So we'll bid goodbye to this leopard over here and let's go over to Brent for some unfolding action.
Welcome back, and we're way down south in the Mara Triangle. I got a report from one of my friends who's guiding from Serena, and he said, you've got to go, there's lion and leopard in the same place. The leopard has just disappeared behind this termite mound. Oh no, there she is. We're not very close to her at the moment, due to the fact that she's down in a little lugger, and it can make our signal and comms a bit difficult, but there she is. That looks like the Kuchava female, but as I said, we are quite far from her. Now she is slinking. She's already been put up a tree once today by the Purungat Pride. And they're just on the other side of that lugger she's walking down. Craig's just going to show you where they are. They're all lying there, and there's about 14 or 15 lions spread out through this area. Are those more lions over there? Oh my goodness, they are. So she's actually got lions on both sides of her. There's more lions. It looks like lions over there. Yep, those are lions. Okay, let's just... Where has she disappeared to now? I'm just going to try to find her again. She's sneaking along the edge of the lugger. For those of you wondering what a lugger is, it is a little depression that holds water seasonally. Where has she gone? Now, of course, she's moving quite stealthily to try avoid all the lions that are around here. Let's see if she's got a bit further down. Remember, this is coming to you 100% live from Kenya. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit higher up the hill so I can see a bit more. Oh, there she is. There she is. There she is, on that big termite mound. She's trying to check where the lions are. Sorry about that, Craig. Hi, Melissa. Melissa's wondering if the Safari Live team has ever spotted a menelistic leopard. And the answer to that, Melissa, is an unfortunate no. It would be very exciting. They are incredibly rare. I have seen one in my whole life, and that was for about 5 seconds as it dashed across a road. No, she's just disappeared behind that termite mound. I don't think she's going to cross the lugger. I think she's just trying to keep in an area with the most cover. And she's going to be moving very cautiously and checking every moment. There's 2 male lions there and at least 4 lionesses on the other side, a bunch of cubs. There she is out. She's out on the move again. Just to the right of where she was. There she is. Now, I don't know if she knows about the lions that are on this side that we saw behind us. Where'd she disappear, Craig? She went back towards the lugger. Proud Cat Mama is wondering, are leopards faster than lions? Indeed they are, over a short distance. They have a better sprint, but not by much. And, oopsie, there's a big termite on there. Let's just do this. Lions are also very quick, but what a leopard normally relies on is its ability to climb trees. And I heard that's exactly what she did to get away from them earlier today. She climbed a tree that's just up there, and she's now come down it, and she's slinking along. I've just lost sight of her again. Fortunately for her, the lions seem to have no interest at the moment. I hope she didn't cross, because it's quite a long way to find a spot to cross this lugger. We'll see shortly. I've got her again. Let me just go forward. Jan says it doesn't look like there are many trees for her to climb, for her to be safe. Jan, it's unbelievable what size tree a leopard will climb to get away from lions. They can go up the smallest of smallest trees. Just had her for a brief second. But you can see she doesn't know about these lions in front of us here. I think there's actually more than I initially thought. 1, 2, 3. So there we go. There's 3 at least. There could be a few more. Dory's wondering, do I think she's on... Oh, you see more, okay? I think that was a bone. Is it a bone? It's a bone. Dory's wondering, is she moving to find a tree to climb? I don't think so, Dory. She's moved down from a tree, and she's basically just now trying to put distance between herself and the lions. Let me just have a quick look. Can you see her? I'm just going to have a look at my barners and my far lookers. I don't see her. She was off to the right of where you are, Craig. There she's like, oh, she's crossed the lugger. Oh, she is gorgeous. So she's crossed the lugger. Now, that doesn't mean there are no lions still. I mean, this is a big pride, and it's very spread at the moment. Let me go forward a bit. Hi LM. LM is wondering, how would lion cubs react to a leopard if they got left behind because the pride went hunting? Now, it all depends on the age of the cubs. If they're very young cubs, the leopard would actually kill them to try and remove that predatory competition that happens so often out here. There we go. There are these other 3 girls, all looking relatively well fed. Hi, girls. Oh, she's a pretty lioness, this one here. Oh. Doesn't like you moving the camera there, Craig. Right. There we go, she's calmed down now. I think she was just very fast asleep. Oh, you are gorgeous. Pretty, pretty lion. Now, I'm still just waiting for the leopard to pop out. Lots and lots of lions in this valley at the moment. Oh, that is beautiful. Late afternoon light just seeping through. and giving us the most gorgeous picture of this girl. Beautiful. Christina is wondering, will leopards use the vehicle as cover? They might, Christina, but I think she would prefer to use the lugger because of that water there, and there are trees and bushes that she might be able to scramble into to get away from the lions. Let's just have a quick look from here. Let us behave like a topi. Are you ready to be a topi, Craig? We're going to go up onto the termite mound to see if we can see a big cat. We are just toping about the mara at the moment. Let's have a quick look if I can spot her again. Yeah, well, I'm going to try find this leopard again. While I do that, let's go back to Ali and see what she's up to.
Seems like Brent has found himself a very interesting yet very so much tension. I wouldn't want to be that poor leopard caught in between two prides of lions. That would be quite something. We are on our way to hopefully see a leopard, also a female leopard, which is known by the name of Kuchava, which means scared or skittish, because she apparently used to be quite scared of vehicles when she was younger, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember Tristan saying this morning that she's grown quite a bit and she doesn't seem to be as bothered by vehicles and people approaching her as much as she used to be. So we are carrying on to Chitwa. The wind is howling at the moment, but luckily we've got many layers upon us to keep us warm, and of course we've got the expectation of hopefully seeing a leopard down there. Now unfortunately radio communication is not the greatest, so I don't know if she's been seen this afternoon. I would assume she is, because she had a kill this morning, a diker, which is a small species of antelope if I'm not mistaken. So as I get a little bit closer, then I'll have to jump onto the radio and chat to the guys and find out what's been happening and if she's still around and where she is, if she is still around. So not too far now, or at least starting to get to an area where I might get some radio comms with some of the guys on the other side, which would be very helpful in terms of letting me know if she is still there. Whew. Very cold. Oh, hang on. While we do that, very interesting sighting here. We've got a Coqui Francolin calling, and this might be the same one that we saw earlier today, but yesterday, sorry, but they are actually I'm going to be quiet so we can hear him calling. This is the male. And there's another one in the distance that's responding, so just like the lions were roaring, also birds are territorial and they have these beautiful songs to do just that, to advertise their territory in their particular domain in an area. How cool is this? Beautiful. So there are quite a few that are responding in the distance, which just gives away the presence of a lot more all around us. Look at those beautiful feather pattern. It's very hard to hear the other ones responding, but maybe 100 meters, 50 meters away from us, probably less. But when this one calls, a few seconds afterwards, the other ones start responding. We might not be able to hear them because the wind is playing its tricks against us. Oh, hello, beautiful boy. You're gonna start again. Sorry, I don't want to talk because I don't want to disturb them, and it's so rare that we actually get them to see them so nicely in the open and calling as well. Huh. Are you done now? There was a female hanging around here, but you can just make out their feathers every now and again. Oh, there she goes at the back. And very likely these guys are also starting to go into their mating season. It is spring after all, so it's the time of the year where love is up in the air and everywhere around. So I wonder if perhaps they're not going to have a little bit of a... if they're going to have a nest somewhere around here, which would be very nice, because we came around here yesterday and we saw them in the afternoon, so it's a good spot to start looking for them. It would be amazing if we get tiny little Francolins just running around in a few months' time. Well, that was a very nice spot. Little roaring creature, you two. Thank you for that. Huh. That was very nice. I have never ever heard a Coqui Francolin call before, or at least not so close to us, and that was just fantastic. That was wonderful. I'm very happy about that. Now, going back to the leopard we saw earlier, I apologize that we didn't manage to have a better look at it, but it's always the thrill of there's a leopard and it's going away, you know. We managed to see a few spots, which is always exciting, and a lot of the times, well, we get spoiled here because we get to see so many animals up close, but for a lot of people that is a once in a lifetime sighting, just to see some of the spots moving around. So I'm actually happy to know that there is a male that's going around there, whoever he might be, because I think it's going to be a bit of a tough one to try and ID him, but hopefully he'll come around maybe tomorrow. We'll give him until tomorrow a bit of a break. Ooh, the wind is howling now. Wind, you need to stop now because I can't hear anything. Alright, now, according to what I was told earlier on, Kuchava is not too far from here, so I'm going to try and jump on the radio in the next few moments to try and find out if she's still around and where she is, because that will be quite nice to try and find her. And obviously try and see her, because I haven't seen her. The closest I ever got was at one time that Thandi and Tingana were sharing a kill, or, well, we actually think that Thandi made the kill and then Tingana came and stole it from her. And they were together at some point, and I believe that earlier that morning Kuchava was around and Thandi and Kuchava were fighting. But I never got to see her because she, obviously fighting with Thandi, she pretty much got a fight and walked away and ran somewhere else. So I never saw her, so fingers crossed we'll be able to see her this afternoon. Now let's see. And who knows, maybe we'll find her a very strange mystery bird. We sent it to one of the most famous birders in South Africa, which runs in a rare bird list. His name is Trevor Hardiker, and he's got a vast knowledge of bird IDing and so on. And his choices were also amongst a booted eagle and a pale Morpholberg's eagle. So I think the mystery remains, but now that we know that it lives somewhere around this area, hopefully we'll be able to see it again and then perhaps get a view of the tail and find out. Cool. I'm going to try and jump onto the radio and speak to everyone to find out where Kuchava is and what's going on. But while I do that, I'm going to send everyone back across to Jamie, because I believe her lions are still looking very beautiful and very pretty. And any time that's spent in the company of any wild animal is probably the best time to be spending any of them. So let's
So while Ali goes off in search of her lovely lady leopard Kuchava, my goodness, it seems as though Thandi and her offspring have really truly moved in. We are still sitting with our lovely Angamas. What you will have noticed, of course, is that we have switched cameras. So we've switched to our low light camera that makes use of every ounce of available ambient light. At the moment it's still basically light enough for us to have used the other camera, but what we've learned, the lessons we have learned, haven't we, Dave, is that you got to switch these cameras when you have the chance. It takes a little bit of time. I timed Darby just now and it was around about 15 minutes and 48 seconds. I didn't time you, Darv. But either way, it takes some time, and what's happened to us about 3 or 4 times, I think, in total in the time that we've been in Kenya with these cameras, is we've missed a hunt because we've left it too late and the animal gets up and then it's a disaster. And even if we haven't missed a hunt, if they start to move, poor Dave's got to swap around cameras. He's got to perform some magic juggling act with a camera that weighs... How much does that camera weigh, Dave?
G.
G.
At least 12.
Darby says at least 12 kilograms, so over 25 pounds. It is not a small device. It's quite serious. So we've done our swap, which means that my voice is now going to be disembodied for the rest of the drive. Tweety Tweet, it's one of those fascinating things about lion dynamics. So Tweety Tweet is asking about how a young male would approach another young male with the intent of forming a coalition. And that's the nice thing about male lions, is that they're not fussy. The advantage of having a buddy with you, or more than one buddy, is worth overcoming one's reservations about having somebody that's not, or another lion that's not related to them, involved in their coalition. So basically what will generally happen with them is they will go and they'll sit at 200 meters or 150 meters apart, 150 yards apart, and they'll stare at each other for a while. And then one of them will go up closer, and then they'll stare at each other for a while. And then gradually they become used to each other. Then one of them will kill something and the other will come to share it, and then there will be a lot of growling and the occasional scrap. But because they're not, at that point, they're generally not dominant, their instincts don't tell them to go in for a really serious fight. They don't want to injure themselves, and eventually through that process they establish a kind of odd buddy relationship that then becomes actually a really loving partnership for the rest of their time as in that coalition. And sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three, but they do form coalition between unrelated males. Something fascinating I once witnessed many years ago when I first started working in the bush, and I was 19 years old, just finished school, and I was working out in the Kalahari with some people who would be considered to be the foremost expert in lion behavior in South Africa. And one of the things that they did was, because it was a closed system, the animals couldn't wander off and control their own dynamics. They had to do some control in terms of moving lions around to prevent inbreeding. And as a result, there was a young male lion that was brought in, and a young male lion that was brought in from somewhere else to keep the genetics fresh. And they put them together in a closed enclosure before they were released. And the vet who was performing this whole operation walked up to one, while it was sedated, obviously, otherwise this would not have been a very good idea, and rubbed its face with a cloth, then walked back to the other one and rubbed its face with the same cloth, and then repeated the process a couple of times till they were well and truly covered in each other's scent. And in that way, because both of them were going to wake up in an enclosure, in that way they would actually wake up and not get into a fight the moment they laid eyes on each other. And from then on, that coalition, once they were released back into the wild, were a coalition for life. Makes sense for lions to do that. You don't really want to be a young male on your own trying to make a name for yourself or score a territory, as it were. I think we can get a little closer now, actually, come to think of it. I should have done that a while ago, but I didn't think about it. I've been keeping my distance, but now we're alone. I think we're alone now, Dave. Everybody else has gone home, and we are out here. Hello, guys. Why don't you tell me where the rest of your pride is? Here we go. That really is quite lovely. I apologize for those of you that get motion sick. It's just one of those things. That wasn't too bad, though. I really want the rest of the Angamas to come out here. So, Nilya, sorry, I was distracted by the thoughts of where the rest of the lions are. You want to know how many species of lion there are in Africa? There is only one species. Okay, so there are no separate species at all within Africa. There's a lot of argument about the subspecies of Africa. And, you know, obviously you get the Asiatic lions, and then you get the Southern African lions, the Western African lion population, the Eastern African lion population. And there is very much a difference that you can see in terms of the coloration of the manes, the size, but their behavior is pretty constant in Africa, at least. So you do get different subspecies, but it's always a matter for debate. Scientists are constantly arguing the subspecies-species distinction. It's not an easy line to draw. And you'll read one article saying one thing and one article saying something else. I have got this highly devastated feeling that the rain is on its way, which of course is going to cause chaos for our nightly plans. But while I contemplate that awful reality, let's go across to Ali, who is sitting at a waterhole.
We did come to Chitwa's waterhole. We have to wait to be able to get a spot to go and see Kuchava, but I don't think it's going to be too long. But in the meantime, why not spend some time at probably one of the biggest water sources around. Now, it seems like we caught the zebras just as they were finishing drinking, and now they're heading all the way back into much warmer areas. But it is quite funny, this last one walking around, it seems to be the bus for all of the oxpeckers that it's got on top of it. At one point we counted about 5 different ones. So it seems like maybe he's the chosen one to be the chariot of all the tiny little oxpeckers that walk around here. And if you're wondering what the oxpeckers are those little birds on his back, and their main job is to eat the ticks and all the tiny little parasites that might be living on top of the zebra. Now, this particular zebra has gone off, and it seems like everyone's heading off as well. But the waterhole is such a lively place that I wouldn't want to leave them just now, because the zebras are also going to cross the road and head into an area where, fortunately, it will be hard to see them. Although you look a little bit pregnant, miss. Or Mrs. I apologize if I offended you. It is quite funny. From behind the tree, nothing. From the other side of the tree, all the zebras are emerging. And I would say there's maybe one that's looking quite fat, even for a zebra, because they always appear to be fat, but that's just because they are bloated. Their digestive system produces a lot of gas, a lot of fermentation going on to try and break down the cellulose and all of the substances within the grass that they eat, so they always appear to be just fat. Where are you guys carrying on? Just one youngster with you. But having said that, I think there's one in particular that looks like all that fat might not be food induced, but actually from a tiny little zebra that might be forming inside. And you? Are you being a rebel and not crossing the road? Richie, you agree saying fatty, well-fed zebras? Well, yes, I think they're doing just fine, and hopefully now that we've had quite a bit of rain, or that we're going to have some green shoots of grass that are going to come along, and everyone's going to be a lot happier and it's going to be eating a lot more. That'll be quite spectacular. And I would feel a lot better for all of them once we see them, that they can all have something to eat. Oof, there they go. Seems like today has been the drive of the disappearing zebras and all their different tactics and what they do, just walking around behind one of the bushes and then they go. Now, earlier on there was a tiny little blacksmith plover chick running around, but I haven't been able to see it again, and it's about probably this big, so it's still very, very tiny, looking very funny around, but already making that constant ding, ding, ding noise that the blacksmith make. So I think maybe we're gonna try going a little bit forward, see if perhaps we can see it again, because they look very funny. Oh, guinea fowl. I just want to hear out for a second. Let's go exploring, because it seems like some of the guinea fowl are quite upset. And normally when guinea fowl start making that call, Sometimes it's because there's a potential predator around, so who knows, maybe there will be another leopard around here. That would make me very happy. But I first need to try and figure out where they are calling from. I've heard them call from that area so many times before and it's led to nothing, so hopefully this time I'll be wrong and one of them will be around. Let's see. I do think that there's a road that goes in that general direction, so we're gonna go have a look. Let's see. Alrighty, let's look. Sorry, the radio is... Sorry, zebra. Sorry. Okay, copy. Alright. I want to find this road that's going around, but I think maybe this road is actually too far away and I perhaps should have gone around the drainage line. That's what happens sometimes, but who knows? Let's give it a try. I know that Hosanna likes this area. Tandy might be around, although I don't know where she was seen this morning or if she was seen this morning, so let's go exploring while we wait for our next leopard. I think it's a good idea. Hopefully we'll get lucky with something, and it's always worth exploring where guinea fowls are alarming, and they have this funny call, and whenever you hear it you just stress because it's da 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 da. Well, clearly not something like that, but you get the idea. And funny enough, I've had them going crazy here at Chitwa Dam a few months ago, but they were all on the ground going crazy, alarming, and we spent a huge amount of time there just looking. Maybe there was a snake, wildcat, serval, something, and we could not find anything, but there was clearly something that was upsetting them. I was so convinced that it was a leopard back then because they wouldn't stop, but no idea what it was. So I think I'm gonna just carry on a little bit around this area and see if maybe there's anything around here. I can still hear them. I can't see them. Let's see. Let's have a look around here. So guinea fowl were looking in this direction. They could also be potentially alarming at a bird of prey, but I just want to have a look around because you never know what would be around the next corner. Like we saw today, there was a sneaky leopard not too far from where we were. Why have you shush now, guinea fowl, when we need you? Seems like maybe guinea fowl were just playing with us. Nothing anymore. Alright, let me just have a bit more of a look around here, just perhaps in case we've missed something. If I put the car into gear, that would help. Woo! Sorry, Senzo. Nothing. We are going to try and have another look around here. Maybe just be quiet for a little while. See if maybe we can hear the guinea fowl alarming again. Maybe they'll point us in the right direction. Otherwise, they've just gone completely quiet. Puzzling. The guinea fowl at Chitwa Dam always confuse me. Anyway, we're gonna carry on trying to find them, but while we try to find them, let's go to Jamie, who's already in the best possible company.
I do apologize, you caught me right in the middle of a mouthful of snacks. I'm just gonna finish chewing my nuts quickly. Apologies. It was a bad choice of snack there, Dave. Okay, well, fortunately the camera can't come back to me, so I can ignore the bits of nuts. Now we're still with our lovely Angama lioness and the 3 cubs. We haven't moved much, to be completely honest. In fact, we're still sleeping peacefully. Heather, no. The lionesses in a pride actually don't have a strict hierarchy in the way that you get in something like a hyena clan. So the hyena clan is strictly governed by the dominant females, led of course by the matriarch, who is the most dominant of the group. Whereas with lionesses, they don't have a strict hierarchy. It tends to be that the older females will be the ones that I've noticed get up and move the lions to a different place, move the pride to a different place. But there's no real set pattern and there's no real set movement. Obviously, the older ones have slightly more experience and the younger ones are accustomed to following them. But when it comes to hunting, that hunting is often initiated by the younger lionesses. They seem to be the one, especially when they sort of just reach sexual maturity. They seem to be the ones that initiate the hunts the most frequently. So no, there's no set pattern or hierarchy to the way in which lionesses function, and they very, very seldom scrap between pride members. You don't see that. The only time they might snap at another female is if they have very young cubs and perhaps she gets irritated with them or something like that. But otherwise you don't really see fights between the members of the same pride. It's one of the things that makes lion prides so very special, in my opinion. The love that they have for each other. And you can always see, and I've noticed it with this lioness as well, as she gets up every now and again, although she's quite content to be separate from the rest of her pride mates, she does keep looking in the direction that I think the rest of them are in. And they always seem to be more content when they are all together. And you can always see it when a lioness comes back from a solo hunting mission or wherever she's happened to be. You can see how eagerly she greets her pride mates. The same applies when she's in estrus, because of course she stays with the male the entire time, and you can really, really see it, especially towards the end of her estrus cycle. You can clearly see she wants to get back to the rest of the pride, and the male just keeps following and blocks her. But to me it's very apparent that that's what lionesses in estrus want to do. PT, yes, that is a possibility. I mean, these lions are very accustomed to the presence of vehicles around them. You can see it. I mean, they're sleeping peacefully and I'm sitting probably about 60 feet or so away from them. So they're very comfortable with us. But yes, it is a possibility that if a lioness has very young cubs and we were to drive in too fast or aggressively or in the direction of the cubs and we made a lot of movement and a lot of noise, when the cubs are very young, yes, there is a possibility that the lioness would go for the car. It might just be a growl, it could be a warning charge, tail lashing and ears back and sort of a lot of very deep sounds. And there is a very slight possibility that she could actually take serious offense to us. That is very, very unlikely though, and of course because all of us have been doing this for many years, we're exceptionally careful in those situations, and those sorts of sightings are sensitive and they require discretion. And sometimes it might just be that the lioness has had a really bad night and her cubs have been threatened by hyenas or whatever it happens to be, and you've got to constantly be watching her body language, because that is a small but distinct possibility. And if you look back at the moments that all of us have spent with lion cubs, tiny lion cubs, particularly when they decide, we never go too close to lion cubs. We put ourselves in a position where they can choose to come past us if they want to. But if you look back on those moments where we've been with young cubs, you'll notice that we often we drop the volume of our voices, we whisper. Sometimes when the cubs are very close to the car, you'll hear us tell the guys who are in camera with us, although they're equally good at gauging animal behavior, but we might tell them to just be quite still or to keep their movements very slow. It's important for us to never get blasé about the animals that we spend time with, partly because we're privileged enough to spend time with them, and secondly because they are wild, and that makes them to a degree unpredictable. Yes, we can read their body language, but it always pays to have a degree of awareness Scottish blueberry. No, unfortunately, when it's time for the cubs to eat meat, the lioness doesn't chew or soften it in any way. And in fact, she doesn't even clear a space at the dinner table for them. From the age of about 6 weeks, which is when the lioness will start to take the cubs to kills, they have got to learn to fight for their place at the kill. Unfortunately, Mom is still lactating, and she'll continue to lactate for several months after that. But the little cubs just have to learn to fight their way, and if they don't, then they get the scraps. And nobody chews it up for them, nobody softens it. Their little teeth are like needles, and it's a great way for them to develop the jaw strength that they're going to need in the future. So no, Mom doesn't chew it up. And in fact, none of the predators really do, except for wild dogs, where wild dogs will actually gulp down the meat and then they regurgitate it for the little pups. And most predators wean very quickly. In that kind of situation, it makes sense, because to lactate requires it has an impact on the female's body and her energy and her resources, and because they never know when their next meal is coming from, you'll find that predators are not necessarily weaned quickly, but they're certainly introduced to meat at a very young age. That was cute. A little Pilates move there. Both feet over in one go. I love watching them sleep because you can see them dreaming. When their little paws twitch. Jamie, you'll find that with all animals, the younger ones will tend to sleep more. That difference is not as easily seen in the lion pride, because lions, for the most part, lions sleep a lot. They can sleep up to 20 hours a day. I would say that on average they probably sleep far less than that. I mean, we see when we sit with the Angamas or with any other lion pride, we stick with them moving usually for about 5 or 6 hours at night once it gets dark. I'd say that it's around about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning that they tend to settle down, and then if they haven't eaten, they often go all night. But yes, they're on average, it's a bit less than 20 hours, but they can sleep for up to 20 hours a day, adults included. And in fact, the youngsters almost seem to be more energetic than the adults when we get to spend time with them and sit with them, because it's usually in the first thing in the morning or at night, and the cubs are very playful. But as a rule, babies need more sleep than adults. Youngsters need more sleep than adults. While youngsters and adults doze alike, let's go and find out whether young Kuchava is asleep or wide awake.
Well, it seems like she is asleep. We're just waiting a few seconds because we can already see the area where she's in, but there are already 3 guys here. So I'm waiting for one of them to come out so that we can go in, because apparently as they were turning, the guest just wanted to snap the last few photos, and she is quite asleep, so she's not going to go anywhere. So we're just going to give it maybe about 10 seconds, hopefully, before I start the car and ask them politely to make space for us once more. Luckily for us, there doesn't seem to be too much of a chance of her going anywhere, and I am hoping that he's gonna come out now. Come on, Ryan. Sorry, sometimes this is a thing that happens whenever you are at a sighting. You can sit there all the time, and just as soon as you're about to leave, as soon as you turn the car and change slightly the angle, then all of a sudden that's the best shot of your life, and obviously you need to take about 1,000 more. So, we're just gonna wait a few more seconds. They were coming out, but I think maybe they got another interesting angle from wherever it is that they were sitting. So, like I said, let's just give it a few more seconds. Hopefully they'll move out and make space for us once more. Good news is, though, it seems like she put the kill up the tree, which is a very good sign that she won't lose it to anything around. And I'm not too sure, because again, the radio doesn't always work with us, but I have a feeling that she might be up the tree, and that would be very, very interesting and very nice to see her up the tree. Now, I am hoping she is actually up there, and because if she's not, then I'm involuntarily lying to all of you, not because I would want to, but because I really want to see a leopard up a tree. And that's what the guy said, so hopefully. Alright, cool. Let's go in. Whoop. Okay, the excitement doesn't let me drive. Let's go back in low range, and off we go. Alrighty, let's see where you are. New leopard for me. Woo-hoo-hoo. Hopefully this will also be a new leopard for a lot of us, because I don't think she doesn't come onto our areas or places where we can see it all that often, so she's a little bit hard to spot sometimes. Now, she is in all royalty, sleeping on top of the branches of the dead tree, feeding on her kill. So Senzo, let me know when it works for you. I think this works here, and it'll be a very nice frontal visual of her. Look at that. Seems like we got here just at the right time. She's got a diker, and I think she's trying to reposition it and move it somewhere else so she can carry on feeding on it. Ooh. There are a few branches in the way, but hopefully we'll be able to get around them just a little bit later. But let's just let her settle now that there's been a bit of movement all around, and we'll be able to go around and have another look at her. But how amazing! Hello, new leopard! Very happy to meet you. She is a stunning individual, and looking very full, I should say. And she seems to be quite bigger, although it could be the angle that she's in, but I have a feeling she's slightly bigger. Look at those claws, that power. And she's doing exactly what Shadow was doing when we saw her the other day with the cub and the Steenbok kill. Look how she's taking all of the hair out of the skin of the diker, just to be able to get to the soft part, to the skin, and then be able to cut through there and get to all the meat, because obviously that's what she's interested in. And there went all the hair falling down. But if she's not careful, she might even drop this kill, because it seems like it's hanging just by a little bit of a thread, so to speak, and she's just holding it together all the way up there. Lucky for her, I don't see any hyenas around, so even if she drops the kill, she could just very well go down, fetch it, and then grab it and put it back up on the tree. It's a very long job trying to eat their prey. So if you imagine, for a leopard, they spend endless hours trying to hunt. I mean, we've seen Hosanna trying to stalk and hunt for so many times, and Shadow and Tundi and all of them, and they do it for quite a while, and they're not that successful. Their success rate is probably about maybe 40-50%, if anything. And once they do manage to get the animal down, or to bring it down and hunt it, now she's actually fed on it, she's opened it, and now she's taken it all the way up there. But her job doesn't just finish there. Now she's going to carry on plucking the hair and trying to get to the meat, so it's quite a long process for them to try and get all the meat and all the nutrients that they need to carry on surviving. So I think we just tend to think that it's the stock that is the longest part, but I think we don't give the treatment of the preparation of the meal enough consideration, just because they spend a lot of time taking the hair out, taking the stomach out, trying to cut through the skin to get to the meaty parts, and it is getting a bit of a strong view, very raw. So if you are not entirely comfortable with what we are watching, please do look away. This is the way our leopards survive, and this is why it's nature, and it's a very raw visual of what it is. And on the one hand, obviously we are very happy that she's able to feed, but unfortunately for everything that lives, something else dies. That's very gloomy, Senzo. I think maybe she's managed to position it a little bit better on the tree, and it seems like she's got it safe up there. Cheryl You are wondering how old this leopard is. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm sure a lot of viewers will be able to help us out using the hashtag Safari Live. But if I am not mistaken, she is a previous litter to Tamba. So I'm gonna guess around 2 or 3 if she is actually the one that the litter previous to Tamba. Otherwise, I could potentially be very, very, very wrong. But like I said, if anyone wants to help out and let us know, I am more than happy to learn about a new leopard that obviously other people have been following for a while longer than what I have. And that is the beauty of this community that we have. Seems like she's still she's got a lot of the meat still left around there, especially in the hindquarters. Are you gonna take it up? Whoop. Yeah, she's on a dead marula. So parts of the bark are falling down as she moves around. So I think maybe that's why she's trying to move it, just to make sure that she's got a bit of a better grip and the bark doesn't fall with her and the kill. I'm gonna wait for this car to stop moving, and maybe we'll try to get a bit of another look. Although if she raises her head, it's quite nice, because then we've got full-on view of her exactly like this. Thank you, very kind of you. Very clever leopard, putting your kill all the way up there. So in areas where there's a lot of pressure from other predators, it's particularly hyenas, the leopards, or most of the leopards, although Shadow is a bit of a special case, they tend to put their kills on top of the trees because pretty much nothing else will get to them. So you see she's hiding actually quite well on a very dark day like today. If you look from a distance, and the way the color of her skin and the kill that she's got there, it's pretty much impossible to know that she's actually here. So luckily the guys managed to find her this morning, and now we get to spend some time with her in the evening. Woohoo! Beautiful. Take care. You're wondering if leopards open the skin of their prey using their claws or their skin. Well, in this case, if you're wondering, because we saw that she had her paws on top, the paws are mainly just to grip, to make sure that the kill doesn't fall. But to open or to cut through the skin, they actually use their teeth, particularly the back teeth, because the way that the teeth of a leopard are put in their mouth is the same as a domestic cat or a dog, and it's actually that whole position, and it's called carnassial shear, and it allows the leopard to cut through the skin almost as if its teeth were scissors. So that's why you see that the head tilts down on the side, and she's using the molars at the back to just cut open that skin and be able to get through the meat. So they use their mouth rather than their claws to try and open it up. Raisa, James, and Hinny, you all say that Kuchava is 3 years old. Woohoo! So I wasn't too far off in my calculations. So she is still a very young leopard, and this would be Tamba's older sister. And Tamba is a young male leopard that we also get to see in our traverse area, and we've actually been seeing it a lot with their mother, Tandi. Now, she's still, like we said, very, very young still for a leopard, and hopefully she'll have a very long life ahead of her. And I look forward to maybe spending some more time with her. She's been found on Chitwa a few times, and it almost seems like she started pushing a little bit more onto this area, while Tandi has been pushing a little bit more into Djuma now that Karula has been gone. So I think that there's going to be a little bit of a shift in leopard's territory, and hopefully it'll be a good one in the sense that we'll be able to include maybe some other leopards that we don't see as often. Seems like it's been a fantastic cat day today. Is today Wednesday? Don't they call today Wildlife Wednesday? I think today has been a proper day. But while we try to perhaps find a new angle to see if maybe we can see her a little bit better, we're also going to go back to Jamie, who's still hanging around with lions, but hanging around with lions in the dark.
All of the cats indeed. Leopards, lions. yeah, that's it. I was trying to think if there was something else, but no, that's it for today. Although, who knows? I know that Mr. Dyson has gone across to the other side of the river in search of the 5 cheetah boys. So who knows what the night holds for us. Hunting cheetah, hunting lions, some more Angama cub cuteness. And they really are terribly sweet. One thing I would love to show you, which I haven't really had the opportunity to do, is when the Chitwa males come a-calling. They come and visit the Angamas, and it's hilarious to watch. I don't know exactly what it is about the dynamics with this particular group, because they are, of course, suspected to be the fathers of these cubs. They certainly think they are. And the cubs, invariably, in their curious young way, will go running off at the males, and then the males absolutely panic, obviously because the females have been beating them up every time they go near the cubs. So as soon as the males see the cubs coming, they turn tail and they run away. And they go and lie down, and the cubs get brave again, and they get closer and closer and closer, and then the male gets up and runs even further away. It's quite entertaining to witness. Hey, ladies. Well, lady. I don't know what you did to those males, but they're scared of you. I wonder how this night is going to go. Are we going to get lucky, or the rest of the pride going to come and find her? Or not? Looks as though they're going to continue to sleep. Is that my stomach or the lion? Lloyd, I have never had an animal jump into the vehicle with me. I know of I have a few friends who've had that happen. One example was one of the very few cases of a cheetah person attack. And it was in one of the scenarios where the vehicle didn't have a door. Very, very experienced guide who actually was picking people up from... it was an elephant. That was not my stomach, that much I can tell you. He was picking people up from the airstrip and driving them back, and to this day nobody really understands exactly why, because the cheetah were very comfortable with vehicles, which goes back to what I was saying about never becoming too comfortable in that kind of situation. But not that I'm saying it was his fault, but the cheetah got up and walked past, and as it walked past it went for him and grabbed his arm. Unfortunately, he was able to actually pull away from the cheetah, because cheetah, that's a best case scenario. You don't want that situation with a lion or a leopard, which are much stronger. Obviously, I've heard tales of the few situations where leopards have jumped into a car. I've heard a story recently, actually, of a guy in the Mara who drove underneath a tree that had a leopard in it, and I don't know exactly the circumstances, but apparently the leopard landed on his bonnet, growled furiously at him, and then took off, which I can imagine leaves one with a very fast heartbeat and a possible need for a change of clothes at that point. Now, it does happen, but it's very rare, and it's not something... I will tell you that David has gone to sleep and woken up with a lion head. How far was it from you, Dave? Honestly. Inches, says Dave. Inches away from him. She got curious and she came up to have a look. We do sleep in shifts for that reason, or else we close the covers, just in case somebody gets just that little bit too curious. They're wild animals, it's night time, and it becomes a very different ball game. So we sleep in shifts and we keep an eye on what's going on, or else we close down completely with our rain covers. So we're basically in a little mobile tent. But again, it depends on what the animal's doing. And you can't really do that if they look like they're going to move again, because then you've got to be able to move with them. That's where following the cheetah's nice, because when they go down, you know they're going down. Very useful, though, to have the infrared, because what that means is that we can actually sit and watch them through the eyes of the camera, and we don't have to have lights on at all. So we watch them by using our cameras. Speaking of infrared, it is of course an hour earlier in Djuma, but it has got dark. Let's go and look at a leopard in infrared with a kill.
It does look like something from another world, doesn't it? When you have all of these creatures with the infrared light, to me it's mesmerizing. Now she's gotten up and she's carried on feeding, and then if you're wondering about that sharp light, that is the light from one of the vehicles in this area that are illuminating her, because the quality of what we see to the naked eye is pretty much incomparable. I sort of make out her contour and her general shape, but with the infrared light you can just see it a million times better. So this is why we use it, and why other guys without the infrared light, well, they've got to use the spotlights to be able to see her better. She seems to be quite hungry, and she's got quite a big belly, so I'm sure she's eaten quite a lot. And every now and again we hear the crunching of the bones. Now, she's not too far away from Chitwa Dam, so if she wanted to go and have a drink there, I'm sure that would be the best spot. She's got the kill up here at the tree. So, a very good day for her. Proud cat mama, you're wondering how many teeth do leopards have? Well, I would guess that probably the same amount as lion, so my guess is going to be 32. However, I'm not 100% sure, but if I had to guess, I would put it between 30 and 32. Hopefully that's correct, but I will double check once we get back and find out, and we'll let you know. But we had a similar question a while ago, and lions definitely 32, so I would assume leopards are probably the same. Look at those whiskers. I love the way the whiskers look in the light. Now you see, that's what I was telling you earlier when you were wondering as how she manages to cut through the skin. That's exactly what she's doing there, putting her head on the side and then using her molars just to cut through the skin and be able to expose the skin, the muscles underneath, because that's actually really what she wants to try and eat. So she manages to get some of them with her front teeth, and now you see she's just using her paws to hold down the prey while she pulls and manages to get pieces of meat. Beautiful. Looking very regal up there, and it's such a stunning view of her in this tree. We decided not to move. We decided that this was probably the best view for now, just because here we can see her face, whereas I'm a bit afraid that if we move around and we start bashing around the bushes, then we're just going to see her body and not her face. But we'll definitely try a new angle just a little bit better. But we thought we'd give this one a try, seeing she actually got up and she's a bit more active and she's feeding all around. Beautiful girl. There were rumors of her mating with, I think, Tingana a while ago, so I wonder if there's anything in that possibility, or if perhaps Tingana was just distracted in between her and Tandi. I could potentially be making this up, but I think I remember something along those lines not too long ago. Okay, so Lou agrees. She was definitely mating with Tingana about a week ago. Okay, good. Good to know that I'm not going crazy and making up parallel lives for the leopards around this area. So if everything goes well, hopefully she'll have her, I believe, first litter of cubs. So here's to looking forward to her maybe potentially being pregnant and having tiny little ones later on. Lara, you're wondering if Kuchava could be a pregnant girl right now. Well, she's clearly done mating with Tingana, which means her estrus cycle is finished, so that is one of the possibilities. I would really much hope that she is, but I suppose we'll only find out in time, because it's very hard to tell from here. But if she's been mating, there's a very good chance that she is. Although normally when they're quite this young, it takes them a little while before they actually conceive. Oh, that's beautiful. So hopefully, although with that big fat belly that she's got full of diker, it almost seems like she's full of little cubs. She looks very funny. She looks like a very strange ball with a head. What a way to spend the afternoon. Our beard, you're wondering what her name means. Well, Kuchava is a word for Shangaan that it's been roughly translated as scared, but it refers to somebody that's a bit shy slash scared. So apparently when she was little she was quite shy, and she wouldn't like to be seen from vehicles all that much. And from Tristan's experience, and Tristan's another one of the presenters at Safari Live that he actually used to guide at Chitwa many years ago, that she was actually quite a skittish little girl, or that's what she was famous for. But it seems like she's grown into quite a relaxed one. And funny enough, even leopards that are a little bit scared of humans and of cars, they are a lot more relaxed during the night. I think it's probably because they feel like they've got the dark cover on their side. Probably feel a little bit better with that. But that's her, beautiful Kuchava. And this is a brand new leopard for me too. I have never seen her before. So it's always wonderful to get to see new ones, but likely if I were to see her in the daylight I wouldn't recognize her. So here's to putting it out in the universe that I would like to see her during the daytime as well. There we go, the other vehicle has switched off their lights, and now we get a full infrared view of her. Richie, you're wondering why she left Angama after mating with him. Well, leopards are not really sociable animals, and a male and a female will only come together or start looking for one another just for mating purposes. And while they mate, the females become really desperate. That's the word for a female leopard in heat. And they're constantly looking for the males, and they want to mate, and they're constantly offering themselves. But once her cycle is done, then they pretty much just leave, and the male goes one side, and then the female goes on to, and she carries on with her life. Like they are not sociable animals like, for example, lions do. They won't live in prides or in leaps of leopards, as the name would have it. So the only times where you will see leopards, or more than one leopard, is a case of a mother and cubs, or a case of a mating pair. Other than that, it's very normal to see them just on their own. So I think her Easter cycle just came to an end, and because it normally lasts only about 4 or 5 days, and if she falls pregnant, or if she is pregnant right now, she'll have her cubs in about 3 months' time. And if she's not, then likely in a few weeks' time she's going to start looking for another partner, probably Tingana again, as he seems to enjoy this area. Who knows, maybe she'll even attract quarantine. You can hear the crunching of the bones. There it is. She's definitely feeding. Trying to get through as much meat as she can. There we go, cutting through the skin again. That's when she tilts her head sideways, carries on. Sometimes it's a bit hard to try and convey the sounds that we hear, and every now and again we hear the crunching of the bones. We do again. I'll point it out once more. Hopefully we'll be able to hear it, but she's not a loud chewer, so it's hard to hear. Now she keeps gazing in that direction, so I wonder if perhaps there's a hyena coming around somewhere. It almost sounded like something was walking in the grass, but I'm not too sure. As I said, it's very hard to see now in the dark, and I have no idea what she's looking at. But whatever it is, apparently it didn't bother her too much. Now, there's another vehicle behind us, so we might have to move. Nope, seems like they're fine for now. I think maybe we'll try to move to give these guys a chance. So just bear with me for 1 second. We're gonna move. Let's see, maybe we can get a bit of a different angle. There's another vehicle behind us, and they will not have access to her, but I think what we're gonna see now is gonna be epic. Ooh. Alright, seems like Jamie is still with her lovely lions, and Kuchava is all the way up here on the tree. She doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So we're gonna stick around with her for a while longer, see what she gets up to. I'm sure she's gonna finish devouring this carcass. But while we do that, let's go over to Jamie and see what the lions do in the darkness. Hopefully they'll be getting up to a little bit of eating themselves.
Well, we'll wait and see whether or not Kuchava jumps down from her tree, but we are still with our lovely lions, and our lovely lions are sort of showing signs of stirring. The lioness's head is up. The cubs don't really want to get up, but the lioness is up and looking about her. She's had a few yawns, a few paw licks, and maybe if we're really lucky, she might just roar for us before the end of the night. You never know. She's definitely keen on finding the rest of her group, I imagine. Hey girl, what do you suppose about that idea? You know, it's been interesting, and I mean, I'm sure there is a reason behind it, and I guess that some nights it just, the chain reaction doesn't start. Some nights the lions don't stop. They just roar all the way through the night, and some nights they go absolutely dead quiet, and I promise you, they are quiet from the start of the night to the next morning. And I know that because we're awake listening to them a lot of the time. And you don't hear them roaring anywhere. The whole night goes dead quiet, and it seems to coincide with a complete silence from the hyenas as well. In fact, the whole night we just have some nights where there's just not a peep out of anything, except the hyraxes. They keep going, of course. And the crickets. And me occasionally to keep us awake. Poor Dave. But it's just something that I've noticed, an observation, and I guess if one guy is a little bit too full to roar and then his neighbors don't roar because he's not roaring, and then nobody roars because nobody else is roaring, I guess that makes sense. It's sometimes, if we don't have anything, it does make finding them very difficult. Which is why we're always keen to try and find something before it gets dark, whether it's lion, leopard, cheetah, or serval, or whatever it happens to be. Because you guys don't always talk, do you? And then some nights, I remember once vividly saying to Dave, I really wish these lions would be quiet now. They roared. Do you remember that? Yeah. We were on the other side of the river and they roared pretty much every 10 minutes. And they did it the entire night. Constantly. And I mean, I love the sound of lion roaring, don't get me wrong. I think maybe we were just overtired. Oh, that was one of our first all-nighters, Dave, on that side. You sleepy cubs. So guys, we will be staying with hopefully be staying with the Angama Pride the entire night. As I said, Scott is out. Brent has sort of vanished off the face of the planet, but he'll be out as well tonight, hopefully with comms and signal. So do stay tuned, do keep an eye on the Facebook pages, because we will be going live if something exciting does happen. What that means, though, is that for tomorrow's sunrise safari, we will not be seeing you. During the first part of the sunrise safari, we will be doing one of our closed rehearsals, obviously all in preparation and build up for our TV show in the next few days. So do stay tuned, do keep an eye on the goings on. We apologize for not being with you tomorrow morning, but we will see you again tomorrow afternoon. And oh, what is there? Oh, Yakko! Nice, Dave. You see? That's why you should stay tuned, because you never know what's going to come a-trotting on past. Maybe a jackal, maybe something else. So as our jackal trots off into the darkness, for now Dave and myself will be saying farewell to you all and thank you, and we'll send you back to Djuma for the last few minutes of the sunset safari.
Thank you. Sorry guys, seems like we have managed to find a very good position to view her for a little while longer. And what a stunning view this is. Are you gonna get up again and start moving? So we can definitely tell that she's had a very good meal. I don't think she'll be complaining. And it's funny, like we were saying yesterday, we normally see the steenbok and the duiker as tiny little creatures, probably not enough to feed them, but I think for smaller leopards, or maybe not, I shouldn't say smaller, but just for females rather than males, they still represent quite a good meal. I mean, Shadow and the cub were very happy with its steenbok, and judging by Kuchava's stomach size, I think this tiger has been quite a good one for her too. Oh, you're gonna drop everything now. Do not drop it. We don't want you to drop it. Although, I'm not too sure how you're gonna manage that. Luckily, you're still hyena area free. So, even if she does drop it, unless there's something lurking around that we haven't seen, she'll still be quite safe. But it seems like everything is just hanging there by just a little bit of the skin, and she's not holding on to it. So, it does happen every so often that they drop their kills, especially when they're young and when they're still learning how to hoist their kills, put them up in trees, and how to handle them when they're up there. A lot of the times the young ones lose them to hyenas, and then you can see the mother's faces like, oh no. You hear the crunching now. You're not crunching now. What a very beautiful face. Very long, elongated face. We can hear also lions roaring quite in the distance. I wonder who that is. It's a very faint noise in the distance, but it seems to be going closer, so I am hoping that whoever it is, wherever they are, because they still seem to be somewhere in Mala Mala, that they'll carry on coming, so that we'll be able to see them again tomorrow. Maybe that's a bite. That's a bit too big for you, isn't it? The roaring, it seems it was coming from Mala Mala side, and it's still quite far from where we are, and obviously the sound travels far longer distances in cold air. So hopefully those guys will carry on moving, and they'll carry on moving onto the side wherever it is that we can find them tomorrow, and hopefully Kuchava will also be here tomorrow. I just want them all around. I don't think anyone can blame me for that. Tony, you're wondering who do I believe would make the cutest little leopard cubs? I don't know. That's actually a very hard question, because I just love everything that's tiny and it's got spots. So the smaller the cuter, and my heart just goes all warm and fuzzy inside. So I'm not too sure how to answer that. I'm not sure. Ah, that's a good combination. Sorry guys, the girls in FC have quite the imagination. So according to Lou and Megan in FC, Tamba and Shungile would make very pretty cubs, but Rebecca all the way in the Mara disagrees because they're all still underage. Mama Beck's always looking after her children. But I agree with Megan and Lou. I reckon those could be very pretty. Maybe Tiani and Hosanna could make really pretty cubs too, because Tiani's got that something to her, and I think that would be an interesting combination too. I like that one. And then who knows? I think, yeah, I just like them all. That's the problem. When they're tiny and fluffy, they're just so pretty. But yeah, I would say Hosanna and Tiani, Tamba and Shungile eventually, so that Rebecca doesn't get all alarmed. And then, I don't know, I reckon a combination of Shadow or Tundi with Mr. Anderson could produce some very interesting looking offspring. Well guys, it's starting to become that time of the day again where we start saying our goodbyes and bid everyone farewell, and thanking you all for accompanying us on this beautiful safari. I think we've been extremely lucky today. It's been for sure a day to remember. That is Senzo trying to turn everything off so that he doesn't blind me. Now maybe I feel like the Impala do when we shine the lights at them by mistake. So I'm pretty sure we'll see everyone tomorrow, and tomorrow the first hour and a half is Djuma, and Mara will be joining us tomorrow morning a little bit later on, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Tristan is going to be taking you on the morning safari. But we'll see about it tomorrow. But let's spend our very last minutes just looking at that beautiful Kuchava and just enjoying the very blessing that it is to spend some time with a very relaxed leopard while it feeds on its kill. I'm gonna have one last look at her. And I don't think I could have asked for a better introduction to this beautiful leopard. Definitely a good dinner. Goodbye everyone. We'll see you all tomorrow, and thank you for joining.